Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live weekly chat. And I hope you can all join me tonight. If you can't, you can always watch on catch up. And of course, you can see, don't forget all the other weekly live chats that I've done because they are all in my weekly live chat playlist. Now, I hope you've all had another voluptuous week. I say that every week because I really do mean it. And I hope you really have. It's been a much better week for royal news this week. Obviously, William, Catherine, and Harry are back doing their royal duties, and of course, we've had some big announcements and some big news come through, which we'll get to in a bit. So I'm just going to go now and find the chat window so that I can say hello to you all. Okay, let me see. Okay, we have Valerie G from Memphis. Hello to you. We have Oh Dear, who says, hi all, and you're from Vancouver Island in Canada. Hello to Lady Buckingham, who has a new name. And she's asking, oh dear, where are you on the island? Let me go. Oh, we have James Med 4, who says, George's birthday and cousin Maud, they are the same age. And we will get to that in a bit. So hold that thought. Callum Murphy is channeling Mrs. Slocum from Are You Being Served? If you haven't seen that, do Google it. There are some amazing YouTube clips. Lady Buckingham says, hi Elliot, looking pretty dapper tonight. Thank you very much. And for those of you who are wondering, I'm wearing one of my newest brooches, one of my royal replicas, which is the Duchess of Cambridge brooch. And of course, I'm wearing that today in honour of Catherine. Of course, she isn't the first Duchess of Cambridge, which this brooch is from, but she's obviously pregnant. I think we can all safely say now the cat is out of the bag. She is pregnant. It's been confirmed. So I'm wearing this brooch in honour of her today. Steve says good evening. So hello to you. And hello to the Duchess of Cambridge, who says hi. I hope it's the real Duchess of Cambridge. And you're not being too sick. Nina's says hello and a great week. It is indeed. And hello to you. Hello to Elaine, who says, wow, you look very smart and handsome. Well, thank you. And I do love your big yellow bow. Candice says, hi there, how are you? I'm fine, and I hope you are too. Hello to James Samuel, who also has a new name. Of course, it's Jamie. And he says, hello, what a week it has been. It has indeed. Duchess of Cambridge says, William, Kate and Harry are amazing. I think so too, and we'll speak a little bit about the work they've been doing this week too. Kimberly says, please send prayers for Florida. Now, as you guys know, I always make a list of things that I definitely want to say for my chat. And one of the things that I did want to talk about was, well, to sort of send our thoughts and our prayers and just, you know, just thinking about the people that have been affected by these hurricanes. Not just the latest hurricane, but you know, those hurricanes that have affected people all over the world, and of course that are tearing through the Caribbean right now, and obviously Florida. So I just want to say, you know, my condolences go out to those who have lost homes, who have lost livelihoods, who have lost friends and relatives. Of course, some people have died. So my thoughts, and I think all of our thoughts, I think I can say that for all of you, go out to those people affected. So I did want to mention those people. Sophie says, hi, and you're living in Birmingham. Is that Birmingham in the USA or Birmingham, UK? Of course, there are two. HW says, good evening, Elliot from America. You are looking rather dashing tonight. Thank you. With the Duchess of Cambridge brooch. Okay. Oh, and then we have another comment before I get going. In fact, we have lots of comments. I think I have skipped quite a few. Sia Moon says, hi, I made it. You all look I look lovely. Thank you very much. Meg Princess says, follow me. for Harry and Meghan updates. Of course, you can always follow me for the real Harry and Meghan updates. Corey says howdy, and Caroline says hello, Elliot. Got the notice on my phone. I am at the US Open. Oh my goodness! Well, I hope you're having a fabulous time, Caroline. And you just wanted to say hi. Well, hello, and of course you can catch up when you get back from the US Open. Mega Princess says you're from Germany. Well, hello to you. If you do lose any sound or visual, do refresh. Duchess of Cambridge says you look amazing and love your channel. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate everyone who watches and of course comes to these live weekly chats. And yes, Lady Buckingham, formerly known as Dawn. James Med says, poor Catherine with her illness, but another baby for the Cambridges in such happy news. It is indeed, and we'll speak about that in a little while. Of course, it is the big topic. Saini says, why is the Duchess called so many different names and the spelling is different? Well, her real name is Catherine. Of course, she was formerly Catherine Middleton, referred to by the press as Kate Middleton, still sometimes referred wrongly in the press as Kate Middleton. Her correct title is Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cambridge. She's not Princess Kate, she's not Princess Catherine, she's not Duchess Catherine, she is the Duchess of Cambridge. So that's the only title that you need to know. I mean, sometimes when I'm titling my videos, because people search for Kate quite a lot, or Catherine, and you know, sometimes I don't put the Duchess of Cambridge in all my titles. And that's basically just to help you guys to sometimes find the videos, especially people who don't necessarily know exactly what she's called, because as you mentioned, there are so many different names used in the media. So sometimes I might call her different things too, but it's basically just so that you guys can find the video, which is the most important thing, is that you find the video to get the accurate news. Okay. Hello to Betsy from New York City. Hello to you. Kimberly says, I bet the little one Catherine is carrying is a girl. Okay, let's open up the discussion. I think we've waited too long with the Catherine pregnancy royal baby number 3 topic. And speaking as you think it's going to be a girl, I'm wearing pink today with my Duchess of Cambridge brooch because I too think it may be a girl. Of course, who knows? It could be a boy. 50-50 chance, as always. But I have a feeling, you know, I think everyone has their own personal feeling about, you know, what it might be or what they hope it might be. I don't necessarily hope it's going to be a girl. I just think it will be. In fact, it would be more interesting if the baby was a boy, if it was male, because then the law that was passed that allows females not to be displaced in a line of succession would actually come into effect. So if we have a boy, the boy wouldn't supplant Charlotte in the line of succession. Charlotte would remain in her position. Of course, if the baby's a girl, it wouldn't matter because she's younger than Charlotte anyway. So a boy would be more interesting and more historic. But I've got a feeling it might be a girl. Let me know what you think. And of course, I had a comment last week where someone said, you know, what about the pregnancy rumours that Catherine's pregnant? And my response was, there's always pregnancy rumours, but we can't say anything. It's pure speculation until we have an announcement. And I did say that she is within her window of having a third child. Well, first of all, I thought that she would have a third child, and I said that for a very long time because she is one of 3 siblings in her family. So I definitely thought that she would think it's normal to have 3. So I definitely thought that she would go for 3. And of course, William too. We can't forget William. He is the father. He does have a big part to play in it. So I did think they as a couple would go for 3. I did think they were in their window because it's, you know, Charlotte is 3. So I thought, you know, if it was going to happen, it would be the tail end of this year or next year. And I did say that, you know, as with her previous pregnancies, she suffers from this severe morning sickness. And we always find out early. Normally, the royals wait till the 3rd trimester, but with Catherine's pregnancies, she hasn't had that luxury. You know, she goes into hospital or she has to cancel engagement, and it forces an early announcement. So I did say last week that if we did know, it would be quite early on in the pregnancy. And of course, lo and behold, the announcement came out. She had to cancel an engagement because of the severe morning sickness. Catherine is pregnant with royal baby number 3. And I think everyone kind of, you know, we can all stop with the rumours now. You know, never mind rumours. She is actually pregnant. She's expecting. She will have the baby. We think she's sort of 6 to 8 weeks gone. So we're looking at what, March? Does that make it? Around about March. So there we go. We have a new royal baby. Let me know what you think about the announcement. I think as soon as she's over the severe morning sickness, she will get back to royal duties. Perhaps not as strenuous as what she would have planned, but I think she will still do royal duties as she has done with her previous pregnancies, you know, up until she takes her maternity. And then, of course, she has a period after the baby's born too. Oh, by the way, I have my cup of tea, and I hope you have your favourite drinks too. Before we carry on with more pregnancy talk, I'll just read a few more comments. Kimberly thinks Catherine's carrying a girl. I think I've already said that one. James likes my flowers. They're my autumn flowers, because of course we are going into autumn now, or fall if you're American. The leaves are changing colour. So they are my autumn flowers. Betsy's also liking my flowers. Deborah says, love your channel, and you're from Pittsburgh in the USA. Thank you so much. Kimberly's agreeing, she likes the flowers. Okay, let's go down. Okay, I'm just going to read some more comments. Lady Buckingham, or Dawn, says, I wish everyone would stop calling her Kate. Well, I kind of do too, but people kind of know her as that. I suppose I've kind of got to the point of that you can't stop people calling her Kate. It's kind of like people calling Diana, Princess of Wales, Lady Di, or just Princess Di. It's the same kind of thing, I think. And I think most people mean it with affection. I personally, you know, prefer Catherine or the Duchess of Cambridge, but you know, each to their own. And I don't think we're going to be able to stop people from calling her Kate. Duchess of Cambridge says, please send a huge hello to my BFF Tiffany and Stephen. I will send a huge hello to Tiffany and Stephen. James says, did you get a new house, Dawn? A large estate with a swimming pool and room for a pony. Of course, reference to Hyacinth Bucket and Dawn's name change to Lady Buckingham. HW thinks royal baby number 3 will be a boy. And the first Mrs. R says possibly twins. Well, with the severe morning sickness, one of the characteristics of having that, what is it, hyperemesis gravidum. I can read it if the word is in front of me, but it's hyperemesis gravidum, something of that nature, is the actual technical condition. Usually that can be associated with twins. However, Catherine's had it twice, and she's only had a single child. So, as much as I think we'd all love the royal baby number 3 to be twins, I think the likelihood is that it's probably not. Oh yes, baby names. Let's think about baby names. What baby names would you like? Some James Samuel or Jamie says, I think it will be a boy called Philip. I mean, okay, let's talk boy names first. I think Philip is a potential contender. I don't think they'll go for any names that have been used in kind of younger royals. Possibly Albert. What about Albert? Or is that maybe a little too Victorian and Germanic? Possibly. So I'm thinking possibly Philip or Albert, or maybe David. We could have a Prince David. For girls, of course, we have possibly Victoria as a forerunner, maybe Elizabeth to honour the Queen, maybe Mary, or maybe Alice even. So there's maybe some names that I potentially think. Kimberly says, Elliot, you should write down everyone's names who think it's a girl and those who think it's a boy. Well, what I could do is make a separate video where we talk about baby names, and you can all put down in the comment section what you think it is, and then when the baby's born, we could go back to that video and see who's right. Steve thinks it will be Victoria. Dawn agrees. Victoria, you love it. Okay, I'm just trying to find a lovely comment. Let's go up. Dawn's hoping it's a girl. And Nina would like it to be a girl too. The first Mrs. R says, I'm wondering if this means that if Harry and Meghan get married, it might not be until the end of next summer after the baby comes. Well, that was another point that I was going to mention, and that was Meghan's interview with Vanity Fair magazine. And a lot of people were saying, oh, she's ruined her chances, she's spoken to the press. I really don't think she would have done that without Palace permission. And in fact, I think I read somewhere, I think from an official source, that she had the Palace agreement to do that interview. And I kind of think that it was a mini engagement announcement, almost like a pre-announcement. And I did say that I thought a proper engagement announcement would come September or October. Of course, the royal chef that I spoke about last week, Diana's former royal chef, said that he thought it would be December. And I said, well, hang on a minute, you know, they can avoid clashing with the other royal events in September and October. And if they already are engaged, it makes more sense. So I was half right. You know, this has come as a kind of mini, I mean, the relationship was already confirmed, but this is kind of an extra step. It's kind of halfway between an engagement announcement and the initial announcement, the kind of statement that Harry made to try and protect Meghan round about a year ago. So I think we can take it that an engagement is on the cards, although of course, you know, it is still speculation until we get an official announcement. But perhaps now the engagement announcement may not be even until, it could be December, it could even be later. And to be honest, now with royal baby number 3, they wouldn't want a wedding to clash with the royal baby. So that kind of throws the before Christmas for a spring wedding, sort of before Christmas announcement for a spring wedding. I'm thinking more that the announcement could come anytime from October onwards, with possibly a view for a summer wedding. So I think it wouldn't interfere with the wedding planning, although of course it would be harder to keep it secret if they kind of started the wedding preparations before then. But I do think a proposal and an announcement is on the cards. But you know, the royal baby and this little mini pre-statement has kind of thrown everyone's guesses a little bit. The pre-announcement may also mean that Meghan can be seen with Harry partly on some official engagements, such as the Invictus Games, which kind of is an official engagement for Harry, but it's more of a charity work rather than on behalf of the royal family. So perhaps we will see Meghan at the Invictus Games by Harry's side. And perhaps this statement kind of validates that. What do you guys think? Let me know. Ohio says, hello from Ohio. And you knew the trolls would be here tonight. Happens every time. Well, I'm trying to avoid them, so I hope you do the same too. Okay, Lady Buckingham says, I think Philip will be in there definitely someplace. Meg Princess says, do you think Harry and Meghan are engaged? Personally, I think yes. But of course, we can't say that until we get anything official. Nobody's leaked any information. But on a personal level, I'm entitled to say my opinion, and I think they probably are engaged. And it probably happened when they were in Africa. And what do I think about Meghan? Well, I've always said, right from the get-go, that I thought this girl was something special. And those of you who have been with my live chats from the start, if you go back a year, from when Harry was first, well, it was first revealed that he was dating Meghan, I've always said that I thought she was different, mainly because she wasn't his typical type. She wasn't the blonde, bohemian, free-spirited type girl. She was different. She wasn't his usual visual type, but I thought she was compelling. I like the way that she's had a difficult upbringing, that she's of mixed race heritage, and she's gone through all the things associated with that, and she's really pulled herself up by her own bootstraps and made something of her life. She's been doing charity work from before she even met Harry, so you know, no one can even say that she started doing charity work just to impress Harry. You know, she was doing that long ago, and of course she had her TIG website. She's had a huge interest in Africa, which is obviously a shared passion with Harry. And I just think, you know, she's intellectual. I think she's really good, and good for Harry too. So I knew it was serious because she wasn't his necessary type. We knew that it was very, very serious when he took the unprecedented steps of issuing a letter, a statement confirming the relationship and trying to protect her. That was unusual. It was non-typical for the royal family, so I knew it was serious. I knew it was different to all the others, and I've said that all the way through. And those of you who have been here with me from the start will know that I've always said that. And you know, my take on it now is we need to just wait for that official engagement to be announced. And like I say, royal baby number 3 may have thrown it slightly. And this little mini announcement has kind of pushed things a little bit. So we could be looking at December. Maybe the royal chef was correct. But of course, he wouldn't have known about the mini announcement. So possibly basically expect an announcement anytime. But possibly a wedding in the summer now. Oh, James says Arthur for a boy. I was thinking Arthur myself, actually. And Caroline. Well, there's an interesting choice. Oh, Kim says Richard hasn't been used for a while. No, it hasn't, actually. It could possibly be that. Okay, let's go. I think I've missed quite a few. I think I've missed quite a few comments while I've been talking. The first, Mrs. R says, boy, Philip, Arthur, Edward would be nice. A girl, you think Alice or Victoria. Lady Buckingham says, I think Meghan and Harry are engaged, but with the pregnancy announcement probably could not wait. They will give it a few more weeks and announce the engagement. Your opinion? You are possibly right. Like I said, expect it any time. James Samuel says, what if it's a different gender? The first Mrs. R. Oh no, don't get started on, you know, there's a big thing now for gender neutrality. What do you guys think about that? Duchess of Cambridge says you should write a book of royals because seeing that we like the royal family. And okay, I'll tell you a little story about my writing experience. About 10 years ago, I decided to write a historical fiction book. But when I say fiction, I kind of mean quite factual, because one of the things that I look for in a historical fiction novel is that even though obviously you expect there to be a story woven in there, I still want all the facts to be factual. You know, I want the timeline to be correct. I want everything to be accurate, and you know, all the events in sequence and what happened. So I decided to write a historical fiction that I would like to read, and I decided to write one on, well, it started with the death of Queen Elizabeth I and the accession of James I. So I kind of wrote that bit. Then I wrote the bit where James came down to London, took possession of the crown, was crowned, and it was really, really good. I probably got about 100 pages into my book, and then my computer broke. And 10 years ago, I didn't have any backup, and I lost my book, and I was so disheartened, and at the thought of having to write it again, and you know, I was just basically traumatized having lost my book. So I didn't write it. I never continued it. So, you know, I've had this idea in my head of what I wanted to do for over 10 years. Maybe it's time to bring it back. You know, I have been thinking recently, I'm in the right kind of place now where I could write it. I think I'm over losing it. And it's obviously taught me a big lesson: always back up your digital data, basically, or any works that you make. So I could resurrect it, and of course within that plot, within the James plot, was woven in about the gunpowder plot. So it kind of intertwines with Guy Fawkes and kind of culminates in what we know as the Guy Fawkes plot. So that was my story, and it was really, really good, but I lost it. So what do you think? Should I rewrite it? I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start on how to get something published. That would be, I can imagine that would be a bit of a nightmare. Okay. Nina says, I missed the first 15 minutes. Don't worry. And like I say, if ever you do have any technical problems, if you can't hear me, if you can't see me, please refresh. Callum says, imagine a transgender royal. It could happen. It could happen, just the same as there could be a lesbian royal, there could be a gay royal. There have been in the past already, but because of, you know, historical context and living in the times, that probably wasn't acceptable back then. So people, you know, lived different lives. It could happen. And one of the things I thought for a while now is that there are no kind of laws or protocols in place should that happen. And I think a lot of people's opinion, when I haven't really spoke about it in here, but when I spoke to people in other kind of forums, people have said, well, you know, what, just we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I kind of think that in the interests of equality and equal rights and knowing what will happen just in case, I think for any gay or lesbian or transgender royal, you know, growing up and going through life, it would be good for them to know that there is something in place. You know, what will their title be should they marry? Would their partner get a spousal title the same as a heterosexual couple, for example? You know, what would happen? Is there any, you know, laws in place for if somebody wants to change their gender? You know, if they're born in the wrong body, let's just say they're a princess, is there laws in place that they could change to a prince? And I think all these things should be thought about before that happens, so that if there is someone in that situation, they know what's going to happen, and things have already been thought about. So, you know, if anyone was watching this from any that has any kind of influence on this kind of thing, I would urge people just to, you know, to think about coming up in generations, there could be someone that this could affect. And I think it is quite important to get it sorted. And also it shows that the monarchy is moving with modern times. And of course, one thing the monarchy has always been really good at is, you know, being in step, being in line with where the world is. Not necessarily, you know, going beyond it, but they're always in step, or maybe just a couple of spaces behind. But I do think this is something where they could show that they are really relevant in today's world and not discriminating against anyone. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Probably opened a can of worms on that one, but let me know what you think. Elaine says that she thinks I'm right about the pre-announcement. I think I am too, I really do. Moon Mom says hello to everyone. Your prediction is a boy, and you're going to guess Albert. Okay, I am going to make a guess. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm thinking a girl, which is why I'm wearing pink, and I'm thinking I'm going to go with Alice, Princess Alice. Duchess of Cambridge says, do you think Harry and Meghan are engaged? Yes, I think I spoke about that one. The first Mrs. R says, I would not be surprised if Kensington Palace reviewed the questions and maybe even her answers prior to publication. I think so too. Ohio rather says, I think they are secretly engaged, but she still has to finish shooting Suits. That was another factor that I forgot to mention earlier, is that she is committed. Is it up until December? So of course, you know, she would be free to become kind of like, you know, a royal girlfriend without any commitments post filming time. I do think it will possibly be her last series of Suits. So yes, that is a good point, and we perhaps should wait until after then. Elaine thinks October for an announcement. Sia Moon says, I think it was okay too. Other people have been saying YouTube that the Queen is upset with Meghan. No, again, I think all that is fake news. You have to be careful for the fake news. There is still lots of fake royal news around on YouTube and on some of the Facebook groups as well. So if you're a member of those kind of groups, please beware of the fake news. As far as I'm aware, the palace were told about the interview, and it probably was vetted. You know, the questions were probably, you know, pre-vetted, and the answers before publication probably had to go through some kind of confirmation from Meghan's people and the palace. Okay, the first Mrs. R says, I still think they won't announce any engagement until after the TV series goes off the air. Quite possibly. Duchess of Cambridge says, congratulations, Elliot, you're a complete YouTuber. Thank you so much. Oh, and on the news of you, those of you who have been watching probably 3 or 4 weeks now, you may know that some YouTubers are going through a difficult time on YouTube with the new YouTube algorithm, basically demonetizing videos that shouldn't be demonetized. I've had my fair share of this. Last week I said that things were improving, which they were, and then immediately after, when I uploaded videos on Sunday, they all got demonetized for no reason. They've since been remonetized, so basically YouTube still makes the mistakes, but for the past few days things have been okay again. And I read somewhere that the algorithm that YouTube uses is an artificial intelligence that learns. So when videos get demonetized by itself and then get remonetized by a manual review, the system is learning. So all the keywords and tags and stuff that I use, hopefully that system is learning that it's okay. So that might be a reflection of why I've been kind of okay the last few days. So let's hope the system is learning about what's acceptable and what's not. And hopefully the tags and all the stuff that I'm using is educating that system that what's acceptable and what's not when it gets a manual human review. So I'm hoping that's the case. You know, who knows, tomorrow all my videos may get demonetized again. I don't know. But let's just hope that the system is learning. Duchess of Cambridge says, in which month will Royal Baby 3 arrive? I think it was March, I think we said. If she's about 6 or 8 weeks gone. There is online calculators you can do. If someone could pop in to an online calculator type in sort of, should we go with 7 weeks pregnant, and just see what the due date says. The first Mrs. R says, this season is the last season of Suits, so it'll be good timing. It will indeed, if that's the case. I've never actually seen Suits. So I don't really know much about Meghan's career with Suits. Steve says, I read today that the Queen has offered Sarah the title princess, but she turned it down. I haven't read that. Where did you read that? I would like to know, because I'd like to see what I think about that. Crystal Campbell says, hi all, hello to you. Kimberly thinks February or March for a due date. Jamie says, considering that the new baby will be very young, will they be on the balcony for the 2018 Trooping of Colour? Probably not the new baby, but definitely George and Charlotte. Yeah, probably, I think so. James Med4 says, I like the name Alice a lot because of the books. I think Princess Alice would be lovely. In Diana 7 Days, Harry's guilt over wanting to play with his cousins at Balmoral is so sad. The princess wanted him to have a childhood of summers full of fun. You never know what's going to happen in life. Harry did not know that that was going to be the last phone call he would have with his mother. He was just doing what any child of that age wanted to do, which was go off and play with your friends or family, in this case family, on the Balmoral estate. So he wasn't to know, and of course if he had known, he would of course, have spent time on the phone. So I think he's kicking himself, and he shouldn't do that. There was nothing he could have done, and he wasn't to know. So Harry, if you are watching this, don't beat yourself up over that. It wasn't your fault. You were not to know. Okay, Crystal says, yes, you did. Lady Buckingham says, oh, I hope YouTube gets it right. I hope they do too, because it really is affecting many innocent channels. So I just hope it kind of sorts itself out. I really do. Odia says, yes, I noticed the issue with your videos earlier in the week and found if I clicked on the video through YouTube rather than your notices, it was okay. I honestly have no idea what's going on with it. Sometimes the videos are okay to begin with, and then a few days later they get demonetized. It's just all over the place. YouTube is not a particularly great place if you make videos at the moment, and I just really hope that they get it right. And if YouTube is watching this video, I would like to offer my support to YouTube in, especially with the sort of royal or news sector. I could help YouTube with keywords and things that creators use to put their videos on YouTube. And as someone who searches for videos myself, what users search for. So I'm happy to help YouTube fix their issues if they want. James says, why don't they show royal babies in public that much? I think just privacy. It's one of those things where if you let the media in too early, it's hard to get them out. One of the things, I have a sore throat today. Actually, it's not sore, it's just croaky. I think with William, with George and Charlotte, they like to release periodic official photographs, and that kind of gives that respect to them from the media and from the media to them. It's like a vice versa thing. So I think as they get older we'll see more of them, but I think the childhood is kind of sacred. And William and Harry, after their mother's death, there was an agreement with the press that they would very much largely leave them alone whilst they finished their schooling, and this agreement lasted well into university, if they gave regular organized press calls and photo shoots, or released official photographs for birthdays, Christmas, special occasions. And that's largely what the Cambridges are doing with George and Charlotte. CM Moon says, the comment's just gone, it's disappeared. Let me go and find it. CM Moon says, I watch your YouTube to know what's true, because you report only what's true and no made-up stuff. and you think that's true for as long as you followed me. And that's true. I don't like to post fake news, and you know, you aren't going to get, to my knowledge at least, fake news on my channel. I will always try my best to source what's true, and if something, you know, is speculation, I will tell you it's speculation, and that you'll have to wait for an official announcement on something. You know, I have no problem turning around and saying, look, we don't know yet. You know, part of, you know, being a royal watcher is that you don't always know. It's a bit of a waiting game. It's a little bit like, you know, whether you agree with sort of hunting or not. It's a little bit like hunting, or, you know, bird watching, or something like that, where you have to wait a long time. It's kind of a bit like a sport. You know, you have to wait until something official comes your way. So I have no problem in saying, you know, just hang on a minute, we have to wait. We can speculate as much as we want, but until something is officially released, we don't know that it's true. And I have no problem in saying that to you guys when the case is. And just the same as today with the Meghan and Harry announcement, whereas you know, last week I was perfectly sure that we get an engagement announcement September or October. Well, we kind of have. We've had a mini announcement, but now I have absolutely no idea. It could be before Christmas. It could be slightly after Christmas. You know, who knows? I really don't know. And I have no problem in telling you guys, we don't know. We're going to have to just wait. HW says, Elliot, you asked for input about what places we'd like to see you visit. You've been watching a show called Escape to the Country in Shropshire. And you know that Shrewsbury is the centre. Well, Shrewsbury is one town within Shropshire, one of the long-standing towns. We have an Earl of Shrewsbury, and that title is still going. And it's, you know, it's fairly close to where I am, and there are lots of historic buildings in Shrewsbury, and in fact there's loads of historic places in Shropshire and things to do and see. James says, Elliot put Shropshire on the map. HW says Chester is north and Hereford is south. That's true. And he says, what are you closest to for easy travelling? They're probably equal distance apart, actually, to me. Crystal says, where am I? And James says, in my kitchen. I am indeed in my kitchen. H.A. Bracken says, do you think it might be because of the negativity and false news about the royal family that YouTube is being more strict? No. In fact, I was kind of having a bit of a moment to my partner where I was saying, you know, why is YouTube doing this to me? You know, it's so disheartening. I mean, unless you're a creator, you really don't know what it feels like when you've made a video, you've uploaded it, and then suddenly it gets put in the same bracket as hate speech and homophobia and racism and all these kind of things that the algorithm is designed to get rid of. It's so disheartening. So I was having a bit of a moment saying, why is this happening to me? I was really despondent, and he looked at the rules for YouTube's rules and stuff, and one of the things was that you're not allowed to say bad things, bad, untrue things about individuals or celebrities or personalities, believe it or not. And I thought, well, but I'm not saying bad things about the royal family. And he made the point of saying that, you know, in the titles of my videos, I use names such as Prince George, Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, Prince Charles, Camilla, which of course I do. I use the names of people. And he was saying that perhaps until the algorithm learns that whenever you use a name, it thinks, oh, it could be, you could be putting abuse at somebody. Therefore, demonetize the video just to be on the safe side. And then obviously when I click the manual review, a human reviews it and says, oh, it's okay, we got it wrong. But of course, they don't tell me they got it wrong. They just remonetize it again. So perhaps that's what's happening. Perhaps the system is flagging because I'm using names, and then it's learning after these manual reviews that those names that I'm using are okay to use in the context that I'm using it in. And YouTube has always said that it wants to get it right within the context. And I think I'm being pretty fair with what I've said there about YouTube and what they're trying to do. And perhaps that's right. Perhaps it's because I'm using names and titles. But it's very, very hard to make royal videos about the royals and not use their names. And you know, and the only other thing I could do to get rid of names is to do really clickbaity titles. You know, just put a picture of George and put, you know, guess where he went today. But of course, you know, that would have been his first day of school. So unless you want really clickbaity titles, which I don't want to do, I quite like using factual, you know, to the point, specific titles. Then I don't know. I've just got to carry on and hope that the system learns what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And you know, maybe it is. Annette says, moving on, Annette says, does Shropshire still have the working Victorian village up running? If you mean Bliss Hill, yes it does, and they've actually added to it. They've built new buildings. They haven't added, I don't think, any new old buildings, but they've built new old buildings, if you know what I mean. And it's really good. And you know, if you do want to visit Bliss Hill, which is in Telford, you should go. It's an amazing place, and you can definitely spend a full day there. Oh dear says, I know some video makers depend. Oh, and I've missed a load of comments. They've all just come through in one go. Let's go back up. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, oh dear says, I know some video makers depend entirely on YouTube for their income. Terrifying, but better as a sideline. It is indeed, and some people's channels have been decimated by this. And basically their livelihoods are on the line. I'm lucky. I still have my full-time job. I do all my channel when I get home from work. It's extra work for me, but I like it. I mean, it's, you know, it's something I'm interested in. But you know, the monetization of the videos does help to compensate you for the time. And I've said that before. You know, you do spend, when you make videos, a lot of time that otherwise you could just be spending watching telly or gardening or doing whatever you like to do. So it is nice to get a little bit of compensation for the time that you spend on your videos. It's not a lot. And then when you're denied that, it's just very disheartening. And the most disheartening thing is being put in the same bracket as hate speech, which of course I'm totally not. I'm totally against hate speech. Kimberly says, well, I sure hope that Google and YouTube are going to be changed and tested. I hope so too. I hope they really sort this out. Okay, let's talk about Prince George's first day of school. So it's a really big, huge week for George. Catherine, of course, wasn't well enough to attend. She was still suffering from her severe morning sickness, which could go on for weeks. So it's a real shame that she couldn't make his first day of school. But, you know, she will be able to attend Charlotte's and, of course, new baby's first day of school when that comes around. So, you know, she will get a chance to do a first day of school, but she didn't get to do George's. George was he was brought to school by his father, Prince William. He had his little rucksack with his name in it, so we know that he's using Cambridge as his surname because he had George Cambridge written on his backpack. So we know he's using Cambridge as his surname, which is kind of customary. He's not got the HRH on there. I don't think he's, you know, having people call him Prince, but he's, you know, George Cambridge at school. He was met by his teacher, who looked very glamorous, very reminiscent of the sorts of clothes that Catherine wears. You know, for those of you who, you know, may have seen the photos without the head, you would, you know, you could have mistaken the body of the teacher for Catherine. She looked amazing, and the outfit and her look got a big deal of attention on Twitter and Facebook and lots of different places. It was revealed that the children are met each day with a handshake, and we saw the teacher giving George the handshake. And basically that was kind of it. You know, George and William and the teacher went in to the school in Thomas's Battersea, and that was it. You know, we didn't see anything else. So, you know, it all seemed like it went well. George looked like many children starting school, you know, a little bit nervous, a little bit excited, but it all seemed like it went really well. Charlotte is expected to go to the same school. We also found out that Maud Windsor, which is Lord Frederick Windsor's daughter, also started. She's the girl I made a video on who has these sort of red curls. She looked adorable too. So, and I believe they're third cousins. And obviously Maud is the granddaughter of Prince and Princess Michael of Kent. So that's how they are related. And I thought it was really nice that you've got another family member starting school at the same time. So I think that's really nice for George, and I'm sure they'll be big friends. James says, Elliot, you can call me Jamie since you are my friend. Sorry for the cringe. That's fine. So when I'm reading and I see James, I just say James. I'm in live chat mode, so I just kind of read what's on the screen. But of course, I know you're Jamie. Steve says it was on Apple News, but it seems to have disappeared and you can't find it now. I don't think it's true. I will tentatively say I don't think it's true until I see it. So if you can find it, do tweet at me. Annette says that Uncle Edward breached the publicity policy, stalking William at university and landed in hot water. He did indeed. I think it was video footage, wasn't it, if I remember correctly? And he kind of took it into himself because he thought, well, I'm a family member, I'm entitled to do it, and it kind of backfired a little bit, and he's not done it since. Duchess of Cambridge says, see, I want to write a book about Catherine and Diana, named Kate, the successor of Diana. What do you think? I keep writing or what? I know a lot of things about the royal family and have the complete trust. Basically, I had an idea a long time ago for another book, and that was, you know, what would have happened if Diana had lived? And I thought, well, you know, it's possibly on the verge of distasteful because, of course, you know, she was denied her life. But what if, you know, people like to speculate what happened, what would have happened if she hadn't died in the car crash? And then lo and behold, this week it's revealed that some woman has written a book about what would have happened had Diana lived. And some of the ideas that I read in that book, I thought, I wouldn't have predicted that. You know, I have my own predictions about what would have happened. Of course, pure speculation. But, you know, those books do get, my point is that those books that perhaps you think, maybe they would get published, maybe they wouldn't. Are they distasteful? Are they not? Well, that one got published. So my point is, you know, if you want to write it, because the chances are it could potentially get published. That book I've just mentioned did, which was my idea. That was my idea for that a long time ago. I wish I'd just done it. Okay, Oh Dear says, I came across a video of someone recording in the Royal Gift Shop and loved it. No commentary, just a video. Of course, if I was in a Royal Gift Shop, I would do one. That's one of the videos that I would have loved to do if ever I was in a Royal Gift Shop. And, you know, I wished I'd been doing my YouTube channel the last time I went to the Kensington Palace gift shop, because I went into the gift shop, but not the actual palace staterooms. Because I was kind of just whizzing through the park and the gift shop. You can just go into the gift shop without going into the palace. So I did, and I wished I, you know, would have had my channel then, because I would have filmed it. Kimberly says, did any of you leave a virtual flower for Diana's Find a Grave memorial? I don't think I found out about it until too late. I don't know if you can still do it, but I will give that a big shout out. So it's the Diana Find a Grave memorial, and you can leave a virtual flower. In the comment section, if you left one, please leave a comment. The first Mrs. R says, I would love to see the UK and Shrewsbury. You grew up next to Shrewsbury in the US. I didn't know there was a Shrewsbury elsewhere. HW says, good real estate prices in Shropshire too. They are reporting about £50,000 less than anywhere else in the UK. What a little snippet can you talk to us about Clun? Okay, well, I'll talk to you about the property prices, basically. I mean, Shropshire is quite a rural area, so it's not a main city. We have, fairly large towns in Shropshire, but pretty much there's fields and lots of farms around. Lots of the towns are surrounded by countryside. And we have lots of beautiful countryside. Property prices, I would say, are probably more than £50,000 less than the national average. You can pick up, if you're not particularly fussy, a 3-bedroom semi-detached or terraced house for £90,000. You can find them for less. You can find a flat or an apartment for £40,000-50,000. Depends what kind of area you want to live in. You can find a mansion, a 5-6-bedroom farm mansion estate for 600, 700, 800,000. Probably one of the dearest property prices in Shropshire is maybe 5 million, which is a big, massive country pile. If you were a royal and you wanted to have a country bolt hole, Shropshire would be an amazing place to buy into, because you get, as they say in America, a lot of bang for your buck. And it's a beautiful place too, depending on kind of where you buy. So the property prices are quite good, and there are lots of beautiful properties and lots of affordable properties. As for Clun, I haven't really been there much, so I can't really comment necessarily on my experiences of going to Clun, but it is quite nice to drive through. It's a nice area, and I hope that helps. Kimberly Stevens says, make an account, it's free, and they have flowers already. So this is the Diana Leave a Flower site. So you can make an account, it's free, they have flowers already, but if you like a flower on another memorial, click on the flower and save it. And I hope that makes sense to you, because I haven't been on the site. So basically just find the website and follow the instructions if that's what you want to do. Jamie says, why is YouTube trying to get rid of homophobia and racism? That makes me angry, even though that's not what I stand for. I'm always for free speech, and I feel that no matter where you stand. Well, I think what they're trying to do is, if you have a viewpoint that's homophobic or racist, it doesn't mean your video necessarily will get taken down unless it breaks a YouTube rule for being on the site. So it won't necessarily get taken down. I think you're still allowed your free speech. But what you aren't allowed to do is to monetize it, which is have adverts playing on it. And you aren't allowed to, I suppose, financially gain from homophobic or racist views, because advertisers don't want to advertise on homophobic or racist content, which I think is fair enough. So what YouTube's saying is they aren't necessarily going to get rid of your view, if that's the sort of view that you hold, but you can't monetize it. And of course, if it goes to the very, very extreme, of course, they can take your video down completely. So I think just expressing a view, even if it's not a view particularly that most people would want to see and hear on YouTube, it's not necessarily going to get taken down, but you can't monetize it. And I hope that makes sense. Okay, let me go down now. I know I'm going to go down, and I think I probably missed loads of comments. Let's go back up. Okay. Ohio says, had to leave briefly, but you're back now. Have I discussed Charles and Camilla yet? No, I haven't. And you thought they looked absolutely adorable this week, and they glow around each other. Well, I have to agree with you. I think they look amazing in each other's company, and they always look very happy. They are in Scotland still, and they've been doing lots of events in and around Dumfries House. Now, Dumfries House was a big country pile, a big country estate that was basically heading for being sold and sort of split up either into apartments or made into a country club or a hotel. And basically, Prince Charles used his Duchy of Cornwall kind of funds to basically raise some money and partially fund buying this big Dumfries house, and it's very expensive. And then he set about finding kind of sponsors and doing lots of charity work to raise money to make it a viable concern. So he got it going. He, employed people from the local community, tried to develop a community around Dumfries House. I think he sold off some land for housing. I think he's trying to get more of a town and a community feel around it, so that Dumfries House and the surrounding area is self-supporting, which I think is very commendable. But it cost a lot of money, and I think 10 years later, it's a 10-year anniversary, so he was having a bit of a celebration. Of course, Camilla was involved too, and the venture has been hugely successful. I do believe it's now profitable. It's kind of paid for itself. It's helping to support and employ the local community, and of course the main important thing is the heritage has been kept intact, so it's been preserved for the nation as it was intended to be. It's not been split up into apartments, it's not been turned into a hotel, it's not a conference centre. It's a tourist attraction, and I think Charles spends a week or two there each year. He's got his own rooms there. So at the moment, I do believe he's still at Dumfries House. He may have moved on, I'm not entirely sure, but within the last few days, he's been at Dumfries House, and he's doing lots of engagements in Scotland. So that's where he's at. And I thought Camilla looked really lovely in her dress. And if you saw the video where she's wearing wellies, what do you think of her wellies? They were really something. So really something to behold. So do go and check out that video. The Queen is obviously still in Scotland. She broke briefly from her summer holidays to open a new bridge, the Queensferry Bridge. And she was wearing a new brooch. Well, not a new brooch, it's a brooch we've seen before, but it was the Scottish thistle brooch. And I did want to make a video on that, but a lot of you didn't know where it was from, and it was a Queen Mary brooch. HW says, just a reminder for everyone to run my playlists on your computer while at work. Let's do this for me. Yes, so with relation to the whole YouTube problem, I'll go through it again this week for those of you who don't know. You can help the channel, support the channel by making sure that you give the video a big thumbs up. I call them likes, but they are technically the YouTube thumb up on my videos. Do try and leave a comment. It does help with the search rankings of the videos. Do let the videos run from the very start right to the end. And if there is an advert, do let the advert play. They're never really any more than 30 seconds. So it really does help if you just let the advert run. You can also follow Royal Reviewer on Facebook and Twitter. I have groups and pages and Twitter account. So you can go on there for a little bit of extra. What else was there? I'm trying to think now. Yeah, and if you go to my playlists, there are lots and lots of different playlists. Just let them run. You can, when you're in bed, when you're at work, it really does help to build up what's called watch time. If you build up watch time, your videos get ranked a little bit higher, which means that if YouTube is demonetizing videos and not promoting them, that the videos will get promoted by people watching them. So it really does help. So if you could do that, it would really help me. If you want to help in a different way, I also have Patreon, and you can become a patron on Patreon, which is an app or a web page, and you can support by donating monthly pledges. And there are different tiers of pledges. And the reason why I like this, rather than just, for example, donating via a PayPal button, is that you get something back from me. You get different rewards. You get exclusive content that I put on Patreon itself. You get access to an exclusive Patreon Facebook group. If you're on a $10 a month or over tier, you get a birthday card, handwritten and a signed photo from me, and a Christmas card. Now, on the subject of Christmas cards, I had this on my list and I mentioned it last week. The cut-off point for becoming a member of Patreon, because of all the postal times and stuff, I worked out is the end of this month. So you basically have up until the 29th of September, I'm checking my, no, the 30th of September, to become a member of Patreon to get your Christmas card. If you've had a birthday card, it will be a different photo. So I know some of you have already had birthday cards. It's going to be a different photo, a different signed photo. You get a handwritten message, and it comes all the way from me to you. So you have basically from now until the end of September to become a Patreon $10 a month or over subscriber. And of course, if you stay a Patreon after the Christmas period, you also get a birthday card. You know, if for example, the way it works is if you're a Patreon member before your birthday, so up to a month before, you will get a birthday card too. And it's really nice because I like giving back to you guys too. So if you want to support, you can do that too. And it's really fun, which is good. And it's fun for me too. Oh dear says, I thought George looked a little hesitant. He's only 4. And as you said, it's a 4-hour day. And it takes getting used to. It does. I mean, he's only been to nursery. And I presume he's, you know, mainly had a bit of a country life up in Anma Hall. So it's a big change. It's a big change for any 4-year-old. Jamie says, I don't know why the name Maud always makes me chuckle. I think it's because it's an old traditional name. Oh no, you think it sounds like someone moaning. Nina says, my last video about Harry holding his nose, was he hiding his face or something smelled? I think he was trying to obscure his face from the photographer, basically. But the main point of that video is that he does look like he's lost a bit of weight. Maybe it was the angles of the camera, maybe it was the clothes he was wearing, but he does look rather slender. You know, who knows why, but he does look like he's lost a little bit of weight. What do you think? Check out the video, leave a comment. Okay, the first Nizar says, dumb American question. I wouldn't call you Americans dumb. Says, in theory, are there members of the royal family who bow and curtsy to George and Charlotte? And who? And what about non-royal people? Technically, anyone that's below them in the line of succession should. But I doubt they would until they perhaps become of age or increase, I suppose, their status within the royal family. So technically, yes, but do I think they do? Probably not. But of course, having not witnessed them in private, none of us can really say. Freya says, I just bought a 2-bedroom flat. So you're christening your new home office by watching me with some red wine. I have my tea, and I hope you're enjoying your wine. HW says, in capitals, James, you need to mind your manners. This is Elliot's chat, not yours. And James says, in capitals, HW, you need to turn off caps lock. Oh dear says, I don't like speculation, books or videos. There really is no point to them, which was kind of my reason for not doing it. Okay. Crystal Campbell says, I think both of Diana's boys have mannerisms when they speak. I think so too. Kimberly Stevens says, I can't believe there are people on the beach in Florida Keys. Oh my God, really? That just beggars belief. Crystal says, is there a Princess Diana daughter? No, and I think you are referring to the claims of this person who I don't even think is a person. When I saw this person's photo, it looked computer generated to me. And there was this rumor that she'd had a secret daughter and the daughter wanted a DNA test. And no, it's just completely fake, made up news, I'm afraid. So don't even listen to that. I think I did mention it on a chat a while ago. Freya says, have I seen Game of Thrones? As someone who loves British history, I can't get enough Game of Thrones. I confess, I watched the first 2 episodes of Game of Thrones and I didn't like it. So I didn't carry on watching it. And I haven't watched it ever since. I found it really hard to get into. I couldn't get into it over the first 2 episodes. And I know you're probably going to tell me it's one of those things you have to keep watching to maybe get into, but I never did. So I confess I haven't ever really watched it other than the first 2 episodes. Odia says, real estate is reasonable where you live compared to where you are. Annette says, Shropshire looks lovely and house and flat prices are very good as well. Kimberly says, oh my God, the ocean is gone from a beach from the Keys. There is probably going to have a... Ooh, yes, if the water pulls back unexpectedly, that means there's going to be a big surge. Oh no, I really hope that's not true. But I can't believe you'd be saying it if it wasn't. Oh no. Okay, that looks really terrible. Okay. And for those of you guys who can see the news, I can't quite see the news, so do let me know. Let me go up. So, let's go back to the question. Kimberly says, don't know, have cool news on right now. Also, it's a YouTube channel. Do let me know about this beach. HW says, good night, Elliot. I'm being harassed by James Samuel, so I'm not able to remain. Guys, cool it down and take off your capitals and make friends. Okay, James says, or Jamie rather, the Keys are going to be devastated because they're so low below sea level. I really hope it's not true. I mean, fingers crossed for these people, and I hope everyone who was asked to evacuate has evacuated, because I know I was watching the news a few hours ago and some people had stayed. So I hope everyone's gone. Odia says, I think Charles and Camilla really enjoy themselves in Scotland. They do too. And that brings me to, I'll read the rest of your comment and then I'm going to talk about something else. You love the refurbishment of Dumfries House. Charles undertook. It's beautiful. Is it making money now? I do believe it is. I do believe it was designed by Camilla's sister, Annabelle Elliott. Now, one thing I did have on my list was there's a new documentary that's on. I've watched 2 episodes, and I'm not sure how many there are in the series, but it's called Inside Balmoral, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It talks about the history through different time periods of Balmoral Castle, which is the Queen's favourite, well, said to be her favourite home. If ever I meet her, I might ask her. And it goes through Balmoral history, and it's really interesting. And it talks to some really credible people, staff and people that are in the know. So it's a really credible program, which is of course what I like, and I would recommend it. So if you can get Inside Balmoral wherever you are, episode 2 aired this week, so I'm looking forward to episode 3. Do watch it. Nina says, we're really scared here in the States and you have friends in Florida. I really hope they're okay. Kimberly says, you love my brooches. This is the Duchess of Cambridge, for those of you who have just joined. James says, who in the royal family are visiting the Queen at Balmoral now? Well, if we think back to the previous Sunday, I can't remember who was in the car with the Queen. All the weeks kind of blur into one. But we never actually know who is there at any given time up until the Sunday that it's church. So tomorrow we'll see who's at church, and I'll see what photographs we can get from the cars driving to the Crappy Kirk Church. So let's hold fire on that question, and I will answer who is seen at church tomorrow. Odious says, loved Camilla's wellies. It was horrible wet weather and Camilla is a country girl through and through. Elegant and practical. I completely agree. She was totally dressed and prepared for the weather. And you hate cold, wet feet. You were with her on that one. Let's go through. Love the 50s says, what does the R mean in the Queen's title? It means Regina. R-E-G-I-N-A. And if you're a king, you use Rex. I do believe they're Roman. It's Roman terminology. So it's Regina for a queen and Rex for a king. Oh, Jamie confirmed it's Latin. Love the 50 says, what does regent mean? A regent or a prince regent is someone who is appointed on behalf of the monarch if the monarch is incapacitated, absent, or ill of body, to basically discharge the duties of the crown until the monarch passes away or is better and able to take back control of the crown, basically. So there is some speculation that when the Queen reaches 95, we may have a regency period. The people at the palace said that they deny this. So who knows? The Queen may just carry on until the actual criteria for a regency are met. That is, that she is, not of sound mind, not of sound body, or absent. Simply just being old isn't a criteria for a regency, and I said that a few weeks ago too. Okay, Annette says, I love wellies. Being from the country, you have 3 pairs in all different patterns. Odia says, I think George looks very much like Grandpa Middleton. Again, it's still quite early in his life to kind of see who he looks like. I think he definitely has William-shaped face. Duchess of Cambridge says, do you think Camilla loves William and Catherine's sons? Of course, why not? She's a grandmotherly figure. Of course, some people may get angry at the fact that, Camilla's kind of being, a grandmotherly figure and Diana hasn't had a chance to, but, she's the wife of their grandfather on the paternal side, and so of course she's going to have affection for those children. She's not a monster. Okay, Kimberly says, thank goodness everyone says how much he looks like William. I think he looks like William too. Annette says, saw the video of Harry looking thin. Maybe after Africa he had to have a course of deworming medicine. Oh my goodness. Now that is speculation. And it's all, yeah, I agree. You can catch these kind of things from foreign climes. But wow, I hadn't even thought about worms. And I'm not going to start that rumour. Betsy says, thoughts on the Cambridges win in the courts this week. Okay, so this is news that the Cambridges were awarded £95,000 in damages for the inappropriate pictures of Catherine that were taken in France when she was on a private holiday. So yeah, basically the photos were taken without consent, and they were published, and the perpetrators got punished for that. I don't know what the Cambridges are doing with the money, although I have a feeling it may be donated to some kind of charity, possibly even the Diana charity fund. But yes, basically if someone does something wrong and they're punished, they should pay the price. And in this case, they did. Crystal says, Charlotte looks like, and I've just lost a load of the comments. Let's go back up. Okay, let's go back up. I have lost my chat. Aha, Crystal says, Charlotte looks like William and not the Queen. And Odia says, thank goodness Game of Thrones is not for me either. I was thinking I was the only one who didn't watch it. There are so many people that love Games of Thrones, and I just didn't get it from the first 2 episodes. They didn't hook me, and I just wasn't interested. Freya says, I watched Game of Thrones after reading the book, so I was already into it. Maybe that helps. Maybe you should read the books. James says, can watch the streams. I'm more important. I am indeed. Annette says, oh dear, I don't watch Game of Thrones either. Nina says, is Anne younger than Andrew? No. And yes, she is older. And he's next in line before her because she is a female. And yes, that is sexist. And yes, that has been changed. If Catherine has a boy, Charlotte will not be displaced in the line of succession like Anne was. So the new ruling isn't historic. It doesn't get backdated. So, you know, Anne stays in her position. But that's why I said if Catherine has a baby boy, it will be more historic. And it will enact this new law. But I still have a feeling that Catherine's going to have a girl. Kimberly says, I sure hope the picture on the beach was wrong. I hope so too. Odia says, thank you for mentioning Inside Balmoral. I will look for it. It's really, really good. Oh, yes, Kimberly's mentioned the 2nd series or season of Victoria. I love it too. And it's on tomorrow in the UK, episode 3. And I can't wait. It's really good. I'm really loving it. And I think I said last time I liked the sort of upstairs and downstairs sort of take that they had in there. It's a little bit like Downton Abbey, where you have, you know, the aristocrats, or in this case the royals, and you have the below stairs with the servants. And I like the way the 2 stories and interact with each other, and it's really good. Lady Buckingham says, or Dawn says, oh, I would love to see that documentary on Balmoral. Probably can't get it here. Maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe have a Google search. That's what I would say. Jamie says there is a 4-piece documentary here on YouTube about Balmoral Castle. I think I've seen it. I think I've seen that one a while ago, actually. First Mrs. R says, I've been through a hurricane and it's terrible. And yes, there are people that think they can sit it out. Duchess of Cambridge says, Elliot, which is your favourite royal? Current royal, Harry, Prince Harry. Historic royal, Elizabeth I. First Mrs. R says you are enjoying the Inside Balmoral series. First Mrs. R says, do you have a particular source for my brooches, or do you get them from several sources? I have an opening and reaction playlist and a product review playlist. If you check them out, you can see all of my opening and reaction videos to these, and royal letters too. This one is from a different website, and I got it with my Prince Albert brooch. The other ones I wear are from the official Buckingham Palace website from the Royal Collection Trust, and they are almost exact replicas. These two, my Duchess of Cambridge brooch and my Prince Albert brooch, are from Crowns and Regalia, that website. And they have lots of different royal brooches, but they aren't quite as good a replica. I mean, if you look at the real Duchess of Cambridge brooch, it is much larger, and the pearls are different, and the drop pendant is slightly different. But nevertheless, if you go to Crowns and Regalia, you can get a choice of royal brooches that are royal themed, you know, and they do resemble the real pieces, but you get a lot of a different and a wider selection, which is what I like. If you go to the Buckingham Palace website, they are pretty much exact replicas. I couldn't see much different in the comparison photographs I made of my one and the real one. You really can't tell, so they are really good replicas. And there are other websites too. You can even get replica tiaras, which are very good. you can get a replica George State diadem, which is phenomenal, and I really want one, and I would wear it for here. Freya says, why was Sophie Winkleman missing from her daughter's first day at school? I have no idea. I really don't know. We know why Catherine was absent, but there was nothing released as to why Sophie was. So I'm afraid I cannot comment on that one. Kimberly says, I sure wish the royal family would do DNA tests on Elizabeth, Henry VII's daughter. Why do you wish they do DNA tests? Let me know. Rich MS says, if you're so knowledgeable about royalty, tell me what you think about King Kendrick's potential collaboration with J. Cole. Who is King Kendrick? And who is J. Cole? The first Mrs. R says, regents also step in if the monarch is very young. Yes, they do. That is another reason. Freya says, I hope that if Harry and Meghan get married, he wears his black uniform like he wore at his brother's wedding. It will offset the white of her dress nicely. That's an interesting choice. Of course, Diana's dress designer, David Emmanuel, made a prediction about what he thinks she might go for in terms of a dress. Do watch that video. He thinks something a little bit more kind of tight and figure fitting and a bit more sleek. So who knows? We'll have to wait for the engagement first. And yes, I get my brooches on loan from the Queen. Love the 50 says, what does consort mean? A consort is the spouse of a king or a queen. So, for example, Prince Albert was elevated to Queen Victoria's Prince Consort. We unofficially say that Prince Philip is Elizabeth's consort, although he doesn't have the title Prince Consort. Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, was George VI's Queen Consort. Mary, the Queen's grandmother, was also Queen Consort. Queen Mary, Queen Consort. So it's a spousal kind of title of the spouse of a monarch, although males don't officially get it automatically. It has to be conferred as like Prince Consort. And Philip wasn't made Prince Consort. Odia says, you're happy that the Cambridges won their lawsuit. Freya says, King Kendrick and J. Cole are rappers. Well, that's probably why I didn't know who they were. Okay, now, I've done something to the chat window, and I seem to have lost quite a few. I seem to have lost quite a few comments. So I can't seem to go back up all the way. Hang on. I am getting there, bear with me. Okay, we'll start up to where I can see from. If I have missed your comment and it was really important and you really want me to see it, or you really want me to answer it, please type it again. So I'm going to start with Annette, which is who I can see. And Annette says, I'm glad they got a settlement for such an invasion of privacy. Me too. You know, there is a fine line between private and public, and that was most definitely private. Kimberly says the actress playing Victoria is great. She is indeed, and she was an assistant in Doctor Who. She's one of Doctor Who's companions, and her name is Jenna Coleman. Lady Buckingham, or Dawn, says we don't get Victoria here until December, but it's worth the wait. It is really good. Love the 50 says, is there a picture of Pippa's wedding cake? I don't think I've seen one, thinking back, so I don't think so. There are also rumours circulating that Pippa is pregnant too. Now, again, I can't say whether that's true or not, until we have an official statement. But there are rumours out there, and I don't know if they're true. Jamie says, I haven't watched Victoria yet, and yes, you should. You can get the first series on DVD or probably digital download. So please do. It's really good. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix or anything like that. Dawn says, I have seen the YouTube Balmoral one. It's the same one that you're talking about. No, I don't think it is. I think there is a 4-part series that was made a while ago, and I think there is this new one which is still being aired. I think there's about, in Victoria, is there about 6 or 7 episodes in each season, I think. Okay, Kimberly says it would be interesting to see who her closest living relatives are and what they look like. That's why you were talking about the DNA test. Well, I mean, always, DNA and exhumations of monarchs that have been long dead, are really interesting. Very morbid, but very interesting at the same time. Susan says, good evening. Looks like I am very late. Yes, it's nearly time to go. And you're thinking, I look quite stylish this evening. And greetings from America. Thank you, and hello to you. Okay. Freya says, a bit off topic, but the Crown and State are forever intertwined. Who is my favourite Prime Minister? Okay, I am going to be probably very controversial in my choice of favourite Prime Minister. And that's because I do believe she was my first Prime Minister. She was the Prime Minister that I grew up with in childhood, and that is Margaret Thatcher, the Conservative first female Prime Minister of the UK. And yes, I think she is my favourite Prime Minister. And I remember the changeover when it changed over from Margaret Thatcher to John Major. So I'm going to be probably controversial and go with Margaret Thatcher. James Medford says, you can't wait for season 2 of Victoria in the US. And does Prince Albert put the downstairs staff in order on their thieving? They are still thieving. I hate to break it to you. No, the staff aren't thieving, but there is a thief in the downstairs. But I don't want to, give you too many spoilers. Jamie says, you knew I'd say Thatcher. And I like Boris too. Who wouldn't like the hair? Who wouldn't? Okay, now let me just check my list to see if I've mentioned everything that I really wanted to. Oh yes, Camilla and Charles. They attended the naming ceremony for the new ship HMS Prince of Wales, and it's a sister ship to the humongous Queen Elizabeth that was recently launched. And you can see my video on that, and Camilla did give a speech. She actually did the official naming. Okay, now I wanted to ask you guys a question. I wanted to ask you all what you think, especially people who are not from a country where the Queen is the head of state. What I wanted to talk to you about, because I was kind of thinking about this while I was in the shower this morning. You know how your mind often drifts when you're in the shower? Well, my mind went to the continuity issue of monarchy, and that is that with the monarchy, you have the continuity, so you know that it's the Queen, then you know it's going to be Charles, then you know it's going to be William, then you know it's going to be George. They are separate from politics, and so they don't have to be political. They don't have to be trying to get your votes, which is a plus point because they can just concentrate on the main things that they have to do without being political. The political establishment are the ones that technically run the country. So they can be absent from politics, which is, I think, a good thing. And that gives a country stability. You may not know from 4 years to 5 years who your president or prime minister is going to be, but you do know who your monarch's going to be, which is, gives people a good sense of continuity. What I wanted to know is, or discuss, is if you're from a country that hasn't got a monarchy, for example, America, do you look at the Queen as a symbol of continuity? Because you don't necessarily have that figure of continuity, because your president, for example, changes, every 4 years or every 8 years. Do you use an overseas figure like the Queen, like the monarchy, as a little bit of your focus of continuity? And that's just something that I kind of was thinking about in the shower. So it's kind of, what does the continuity of the British monarchy mean to you? Does it give you the same kind of feeling of continuity that it gives me, for example, who is a subject of Her Majesty? Do you have that feeling of continuity in Canada or Australia, even though those are countries where the Queen is head of state? Do you still feel that feeling of continuity and, I suppose, security? What does it make you feel? What does monarchy make you feel? And I hope I've explained that well. Okay, Jamie says, the Queen is the world's symbol of continuity, no matter where you're from. That's kind of what I was thinking. But I wanted to know lots of different people's feelings, especially those who are not from a country where the Queen is monarch. Susan says, I think the royals are a part of history. The politics here in America are a joke. I enjoy the royals and especially loved Diana. Love the 50s says, you live in the US, and it does give you a sense of continuity. So that's kind of what I was wondering. I was just wondering, does, even though she's not the Queen of your country, does she and the royal family give you that sense of, something to look at, that is going to happen, that symbol of continuity, that I think is important. And I sometimes wonder, those countries that haven't got that, what they do. What is your symbol of continuity, and do you look to another figure like the monarch as your symbol? Kind of like, a shared symbol, I suppose. Jamie says, a lot of people know British royals more than their own political system. Kimberly says, I am an American, but since the majority of my DNA is British, I've always been curious about the monarchy. Dawn says, I love knowing we have a bit of stability. Betsy says, the US adores the Queen. Love the 50s says, sometimes the politics are a big joke. Jamie says, it's also a very unifying force. That's the word I was looking for, unifying. Does the Queen unify you? James Medford says, the USA has an attachment to the Queen because of our ally and relationships since World War II. Nina says, yes, we do, Betsy. Crystals has Welsh ancestry. The first Mrs. R says, interesting. I think it does give me a feeling of continuity, but I never thought about it that way before. This thought just came to me while I was getting all soapy in the shower. What a thought, I know. But it does, sometimes you have these moments where you think, I wonder what other people think. Susan says, my mum was from England, so naturally I was always interested in the Queen and royal family. Oh dear says, your symbol of continuity is the beaver. Hopefully not a pregnant beaver. Don't mention the beavers. Meg Princess says, more stability and less corruption. The first Mrs. R says, there is also a sense of pageantry and history we don't have in the US. Ceremony is one of the things the UK does best. Well, I can most certainly agree that we definitely do pageantry really, really well. And I quite like the fact that it's kind of broadcast over the world and other countries and people around the world can enjoy it too. I think it is something that we can share. And, you know, because the monarchy is above politics, technically speaking, it is something that I think a lot of people from around the world can dip into and kind of, you know, unofficially share, I suppose. You know, maybe we should make the Queen and the monarchy the Queen and monarchy of the world. What do you all think? Shall we elevate the Queen? I am, of course, joking, but, you know, it kind of has that effect, doesn't it? Kimberly says, Elliot sure loves his Canadian pregnant beavers. I do indeed. Annette says, from the US, yes, monarchy gives continuity. And better head of state. They should be separate. Well, I certainly like our system of constitutional monarchy. Dawn says, we from Canada need to find out how to send Elliot a beaver tail. Can you imagine? Oh, by the way, I think I mentioned it last week. I have decided I am going to get a PO box over the Christmas period. Kimberly says, Elliot was knighted in the Royal Canadian Pregnant Beavers. Imagine if my regiment was the Beavers. Nina's saying good night to you. I am going to go soon too. Oh dear says, we have the beaver on our 5-cent piece. My goodness. Just imagine all those pregnant beavers. Okay, now I think I've mentioned everything that I was going to mention. Let me see if I've got anything in my diary for the upcoming, anything upcoming. Okay, I have an engagement on Thursday confirmed, which is Prince Harry, and he's visiting Chatham Green on a conservation project. So I will be bringing you that engagement on Thursday. And I do believe Harry is obviously back from Northern Ireland. Oh yes, Harry went to Northern Ireland and represented the Queen, and he's back because we saw him leaving the gym in London on that video. Oh dear says, a beaver tail is actually a pastry. I didn't know that. Imagine receiving a beaver tail in the post. Freya said, I'm not sure if I should read this or not. Oh goodness, I have to make those now and ask people to eat eat my beaver. And she apologises, that was terrible. That's almost as bad as Mrs. Slocum's pussy. Do Google it. No, don't Google it, YouTube it. YouTube Mrs. Slocum's pussy. Slocum is spelled S-L-O-C-O-M-B-E, and you know it's spelled pussy. And on that note, I am going to bid you all a fabulous week, and thank you for joining this chat. It has been really, really great, and I do always look forward to a point in the week when I can talk to you all. So thank you so much for joining. Please watch my videos for the upcoming week. Give them all a big thumbs up and leave a comment. So from me, in the very affordable Shropshire, goodbye.